So today we have a Miele Incognito dishwasher that drains out fine, but then when it's supposed to fill, we can feel the fill valve vibrate a little bit, just for about a second, and then we get a intake drain error light, like it opens up and then shuts off. So it may be that we need to replace this fill valve. Just to show you guys, let's see if we can start a cycle here. So we activated the cycle, and it's just going to drain for a second. I'm holding this under my hand. This is located outside, but you can hold this underneath your sink and just feel if it vibrates. So right now during the drain cycle it isn't vibrating, but in about 30 seconds you should feel a vibration, and then you should have water come in to your dishwasher. In our case it does come in for about a second and then it shuts off. We get the, yeah, you could hear it start and we get the error light right away. So I think maybe the intake valve needs to be replaced. So we're going to unplug the dishwasher and we're going to turn off the water. We're going to disconnect the water. This is just hooked up to my water heater drain line directly, but I'm just going to disconnect that, and then I'm going to be replacing this piece. So to do this job, you don't have to do this outdoors, or you don't even have to remove this from your cabinet, because this is probably underneath your sink. So you can just shut off the power and undo the water line coming to this one. And the things you need for this job would be a kind of a cheap, about a $25 fill valve, generic fill valve. We'll put a link in the description below. And just a few tools, just a standard head screwdriver, some kind of pliers, maybe vice grips would be good. These are diagonal pliers for cutting. And you need some pipe tape, Teflon pipe tape, and some wire strippers with a crimping tool, and also a brass elbow. This is a used one, it came off of a dishwasher. We'll put one of these in the description below too. So we also need a couple of these spade connectors. They're going to go on to you can bring power to the new fill valve. You can get these at a hardware store. The insulated ones are even better, where they have a plastic cover over them. So first thing, we got it unplugged again. We're going to crack into this one. I'm going to use a standard head screwdriver to pry this apart. Some of these have a Phillips head screw going in here, but this one's just opened by prying it apart. There we go. It's going to give us access to the old fill valve. One thing you can also check if you have a situation where your Miele is not filling is you can look in here and make sure that there's no junk caught in this filter back here. But it's very often not the case. More often this thing here, this is a double fill valve, fails, and that's what happens to most of these Miele dishwashers. This one's about 20 years old and this has never been replaced, so probably what's going on is this thing is just not able to open up anymore to let in all the water, and then the computer gets mad and fires the code up. So we're going to pry up on this wire here. This is the one that brings power to the fill valve. We're going to be utilizing this wire. We'll go ahead and snip it so we can use it for our new application. We're going to pull this cover back. Then you can use a pair of vice grips, it's pretty good. Just kind of gently close them on the hose, and that's just going to help you have more room to work where that cover won't keep getting in your way. Alright, next thing we'll do, I'll push this back even a little further. There we go. Squeeze it in. I'm going to cut. Pull this wire through here. There we go. I'm going to cut this tube back at about, so I'm taking off the fill valve and about probably 4 inches of the hose, approximately. A little water is going to come out probably when you cut that. So it's good to have some paper towels down if you're working inside and underneath your sink. And this is just to give us a spot to hook up the new valve. there's the old valve. These are interesting. They're full of epoxy here, so you can't really like service them or repair this piece. And if you buy it from Miele, this one costs about $220. It's just filled with epoxy. It's not really serviceable. And these are only about 20 bucks from Amazon. This is part number WD15X10014. And these are, I think, actually designed for GE, but they work fine for us too. That out, and we're going to utilize from our old fill valve the spring clamp. That's this thing here that we can use to squeeze down, and we just need a pair of pliers to pinch in on this and pull this off. They're actually special pliers just for this purpose, but any kind of pliers would work. It's kind of like vice grips. Lock it, and then you can pull this thing off. Take your time. Yeah, it's the old one. Put that on this hose. And then we can push this one on here. It's kind of push and twist. You can put a little liquid detergent on that yellow plastic first. It does make it easier to go on. Okay, that's seated all the way, and then we're going to close this hose clamp again and push it up there to give us a nice watertight seal. Spring clamp is on. Got it. So now we're going to just work on this to expose these wires, and we're going to give you guys a little light here. We're going to just cut in the middle, separate them, and we want to strip the wire back by probably about 2 or 3 inches. Just separating the neutral and the hot lead. The white one's neutral, black one's the hot. In the United States is 110 volts coming in. I think in Europe it's 220. Coming in to power the fill valve. Okay, now we got it separated. We'll remove with our wire strippers just a little bit of the insulator. Just about 1/4 inch is good. Do it on the other side. And when you hook these wires up onto your fill valve, either wire can go onto either of these terminals, black or white, doesn't matter. Alright, we're going to go ahead and splice these in. So another good way to do this is where you have, these are crimpable, so you just put the silver thing on here and crimp it. In this case we're going to splice these 2 wires together. I ran out of the crimpable ones. There we go. You get this one crimped on. We're going to push this wire in. Get all the way in there. And then we're going to squeeze down on it with the crimping tool. Nice tight connection. We'll do it on the other side too. Just kind of twist these strands first. Crimping tool ready. There we go. I'm going to put the wire in there. Crimp down. Alright, that's good. Nice and tight. Put these onto our new fill valve. One there, one on the other side. Always thought it'd be fun to see what's inside this enamel, so we're going to put this under 8 tons of force and kind of crack it open. Our press. There. 8 tons of force. go. Let's see what's inside here, huh? So here's the two wires coming in to supply power. So that's going into here. And these are just like the spade connectors we saw on the other fill valve. Pretty simple. Here's another one. There's the other side. Got a couple of wires too, right? Doing the same thing. Going into the fill valve. Kind of cool. Let's see if we can crack into this one a little further. Starting to come apart. Okay, we got a better view. Well, they really hide it from you with that epoxy. Yeah, but it's just a regular old fill valve, just like the one we're putting in. Same concept. They just have two of them. It's kind of redundant. They share a water line, but it's the same basic critter that we're putting in right now. Just really want to disguise that for some reason. I'm going to take off those vice grips. You got some Teflon tape wrapped around the bigger aspect of the brass elbow, the bigger one. I'm going to thread that into the new fill valve. That'll be how we get the water in there. We're just going to use our wrench to tighten that up a little bit. A couple of turns there. Hooking up the water line to this now. Get that tight. These compression fittings, so you don't need any Teflon tape on these. Just get it nice and tight. Maybe turn it with the wrench a little bit. I'm going to hook this up to an outside hose just for today. This is again hooked to my water heater, so it's nice and hot water coming in. Hook that up, get it tight, and we're going to go and give this a test. Power we have on the water, see if it's any different. Pick a cycle. We're going to turn off this first. So if you want to get rid of the error code, open the door, turn off the power, turn back on the power, and just close it, pick a new cycle. Alright, let's see what happens. So, it's draining good. We'll see if it fills after it finishes draining. So if you have this kind of arrangement, don't touch these two at the same time because they have 110 volts. I'll cover that up with some electrical tape. I'm just going to hold on to see if I can feel it vibrate.